Welcome to this video where we will continue what we worked on the last one. So this time we're gonna do the same thing we did for the player, but for the AI. I'm gonna go to the AI that we have, and just like I did there, I'm gonna duplicate this one. It's gonna remain exactly the same. I'm gonna call it mob enemy. I'm just gonna change the mesh and the skeletal mesh. So this one will be, I think it's called AI something. AI sword and shield. There you go. The mannequin will be the player mannequin. So similarly, what the AI has is that if he dies, he just gets deleted. I'm gonna remove this because I don't need it. And the base weapon for the AI can just remain the base one, no big deal. The trace will also be there. I'm gonna have to. You could either add the weapon, the weapon mesh in the weapon actor itself, or you can do it as a form of component right here. Whichever you pick is also fine. This one, the trace, you can do it either in the weapon or in here as well. No big deal. The only thing that we need to worry about is the data asset for the AI as well. So let me duplicate this, and I'm gonna call it mob enemy. Now similarly, between the data asset of the player and data asset of the AI, there's very small differences. The difference here is they have basic information about the enemy name, description, the controller to use, behavior tree to use, and so on. I'm gonna keep these the same because even across the overview video, we used the same behavior tree and the same keys, no changes there. The only other thing I want to show you is the standard states. Now, what happens here is on spawn state is what happens if you drag and drop the AI on the scene, or you literally spawn him from, just say, some kind of a spawner. What happens is this spawn state will fire. So if you want him to patrol, you can put a patrolling state here. If you want him to just remain in place, this is how you also do it. You just set it to none. And on scene state is what happens when he starts spotting you. Like if you get close and you want him to be in combat and so on, this is where it happens. So for the AI, I'm just gonna go make him follow. I don't need him to do any equipping for now, just because I already showed you equipping on the player. The same exact thing happened to the AI. Now you see him freezing right now. If you open the debugger, which is the key beside the enter, you will see a state value on the top right. You see the blackboard, asset, enemy, BP, ability value, combat target, destination, self factor, and state value. You will see he's trying to attack, but because the animation we have in the mob enemy for attacking isn't something associated with this particular skeleton, so we're gonna have to change this into something that the AI can use. For now, I'm just gonna use one animation, and I'm gonna show you how to set up this animation. Now, for the animation part, I'm gonna pick something from Protector as well. Let me take any attack animation, and then we're just gonna do it in front of you for the first time. So here, just like any other montage, the first thing I want you to do is to end the current active ability, or you can use this one if you like. I just like using the other one. So end current active ability, as well as the rotate to enemy rotate to target. The enemy rotate to target is the one that he's targeting, which is currently the player. Rotation speed will be 0.1, and you can add the traces for now. We're not gonna use it so on this particular video section, so you don't have to worry about this one. But I'm just gonna show you how to set this up. If you add the trace, after you set the right hand weapon, we're gonna have to set the attack property. By the way, you might experience some crashes if you try to change the trace to control. If that ever happens to you, if you get back to the animation, make sure it's paused and it's not playing. So for the attack property, we're gonna set this up to be the normal one with a swing direction of right. So for the damage application per impact, we won't worry about damage for now, but let me just add it since we're already here. So the impact type would be the impact hit. and the value you're gonna apply is gonna be for health and a value of 5. We're not modify this by anything. Off the video I crashed a little, so I'm gonna have to add what I added in the previously, so that's something to keep an eye for. You already have done this point, so you don't have to redo it. So with this part, we can just add the animation directly to the data asset, and we can test it from here. So if we equip and we go right into him, let's see if he's gonna freeze right now, and you can see him trying to attack. However, we did not set up the weapons for the AI, so I'm just gonna add that. The same thing we have for the player weapon, I'm just gonna add directly to the AI. So I'm just gonna copy what we had here. I don't need the traces, so make sure you don't take the trace. And I'm gonna take this part as well as this part. So copy the highlighted sections. Make sure you take everything in here except the trace. So if you copy this and we paste it in the standard enemy, I'm gonna have to add a sequence. I did this off screen, so just look this up. And I also created these two variables. After you create them, make sure you set the mesh as well as the shield. Sorry, the weapon mesh as well as the shield, and make sure the sockets have some names. If you take the ones that exist in here, they both have the same skeleton, so this should work just fine. And the one for the shield is this one. Of course, we don't have a target, so we're gonna have to get the equipped weapon. So for that, drag the enemy component, get the equipped weapon, and hook this up here as well as here. Once you have done that, let's see, we have a problem. That's for the trace, so we don't need this. Make sure you delete that. And we can hook this back up. We also have forgot one thing to do, which is you are gonna have to connect the parent. So the parent is the mesh with that socket name. So if you have this, you should have the things with him. But of course, we don't have an equip animation, so that's why it stays on his back. So to go around with this, if you're not gonna have him have an equip animation, what you can do is give him right away the equipping socket without the unequipped one. So right away when you spawn him, he's gonna have it in his hand and his back, in his both hands. My bad. So right now it's like you can see it's in his hand. The traces we're gonna have to set them up in the next section. So see you in the next one.